Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYBC Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting from the Hasselson studio, and joining me from CASA-Trinity, Amy, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad that you could come on the show because we've been talking with a lot of people that help veterans get the services that they need after they've obviously got out of very terrible situations. And a lot of it is drug, a lot of it is mental. But I thought, we have a lot of people that watch the show that aren't veterans that could use help. And especially at the beginning of the year, a lot of people think more about that type of thing. So could you tell us a little about CASA-Trinity and what the services are that you offer?
Yeah, so CASA-Trinity has been around for almost 50 years. We're coming up on that anniversary this year.
Wow.
And what started with just treatment and prevention services for substance use disorders is now turned into prevention education in 5 counties. We have treatment services for substance use disorders and also mental health concerns. We have recovery and outreach programs that help people that are working towards the recovery or in recovery, and then having that kind of shared experience, camaraderie, activities in recovery, that kind of stuff. So there's many levels to it in how we offer services and many sectors under that. But essentially it's just about getting people help that they need or want to have in regards to making their lifestyles healthier.
I think one of the things that's a misconception for myself and a lot of viewers, addiction affects everyone, right? It's not just, you kind of think of maybe a stereotype of an addict or something you see in a movie, but it could be your neighbor, it could be someone at the grocery store.
There's so many variables to it, and you're totally right in regards to this in the box perception of what somebody in active addiction may look like or be like in those ways, but it's not always the case.
Right.
And one of the things that we strive to tell people is we're a form of healthcare.
Yeah.
If you have a concern, or if something's becoming risky or concerning to you as far as how you're coping with things or dealing with things, or you're turning to a substance, whether it be a harsher drug or alcohol in that way, when it starts to get concerning, that's when we're here to help with that.
Right.
So we kind of look at it in that wellness factor for people across the grid. We want to try to be proactive and help prevent some of those things. We want to help treat some of the concerns and give you some tools to better handle those situations. That's
such a good point, because you would always seek professional help if you needed it for a health reason, right? So how is this any different? Do you think that's going back to what I was saying about kind of the stereotype of someone dealing with this? Do you think the biggest hurdle, because this is what our veterans groups always say, the biggest hurdle is overcoming the stigma?
Yeah, and that's for a lot of people. I would especially imagine with veterans too, because you kind of have that,
a tough exterior, right? Yeah.
And listen, for anybody, asking for help is not an easy thing.
No.
Especially when you know you need it, and not knowing where to turn or who to reach out to in that way, because sometimes it can't be your family. Sometimes you truly need another kind of pillar of that, and that's where we come into that. If you know you need help and you want to be able to make a change in your life, we're there to help open the door and make the weight of that a little bit easier. It is a two-way street, so if you are looking to make these changes, there's work that's got to be done,
right?
And it's our team is there to help with that, and it's not going to be linear, and it's not going to be easy,
right,
but it's going to get easier as you get through some of that.
Yeah. Is it an easy process to begin with? Now, I don't mean what you're saying, going through it, but if someone's watching this right now and they say, I want to start the process with CASA, how easy is that?
You just give us a call.
Really?
Yeah, we'll do an evaluation with them in person, and really kind of see what the level of care is that they need in that regard.
Yeah.
We have outpatient, we have inpatient, we have residential services, and each of those levels of care are to meet different needs based off of what is necessary. But it's not even just substance use disorders now. We also help with mental health, and we have 2 mental health clinics, one in Elmira that recently opened and one in Geneseo. And so whether it's co-occurring and you're seeking services at both locations, or it's just one or the other, regardless, we're going to help you through it.
Yeah. And I think one thing and I was looking at your website and talking with others about this interview, I think it's important to note too that this directly affects individuals, but it's also their families, and it's maybe people that you don't think in their friend groups, work groups. That's kind of a heartbreaking aspect to it.
It's it's a balancing act of dynamics in that way, because you're seeing a loved one go through a hard time.
Right.
And sometimes there's nothing that you can do. It really, until the person is ready to get help and make a change, unfortunately, the only thing I can lend to families is being supportive of what that person's trying to do.
Right.
But it's so hard for families. So we have various different things too that help with even family support in the aspect, in different group sessions, or sometimes our prevention teams get involved with some of that too, just for the home life part of it.
Right.
And so families don't feel like they're alone in the heavy part of it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Did you find that, in your experience, COVID really had to increase the need for your service?
Yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it just only makes sense.
No, it definitely did. It impacted for sure. Anybody that is, facing these speed bumps and also trying to either work on the recovery or are in active addiction and really struggling, COVID was a really, really hard hit in those ways, because it created a lot of isolation for people. And especially for those in recovery, connection and getting in to see people and that kind of aspect. Telehealth is really, really great for certain needs of things, but you don't get that in-person interaction. And so it definitely made us pivot a lot of different ways to try and still, we could host, certain group things outside and still be able to do things in a way that created connection in some format. It definitely made a ripple effect.
Well, kind of to that point, and you had mentioned it, I think it's interesting that some of the people that have been through recovery go back and join with you guys to help, because that's got to be another really hurdle for someone. How can this person relate to me, as I'm going through this, or how can that, but this person 100% can relate to you.
Yeah. So in our, all of our outpatient and any of our locations, truly, we have peers on staff. Peer recovery specialists are there as part of the treatment plan at any level of care. And what they do is they're the person that's in recovery. They have been through a program, whether it's ours or another treatment center in that way, and they've come through the other side and are living in active recovery now. And they found their purpose to help others. So they now work for us, and they get credentialed, and they go through all the trainings to help and do those things, to where you come in for a treatment service, you have somebody that's there that has been in your shoes, can at least know some of the struggles you're going through, and give you some of the tools from that perspective to get through it and move forward.
Now, you have an amazing staff that works there at CASA. What's it?
That means a lot.
Yes. Well, what does it feel like for having such dedicated employees, if that's even the right word? It might not even be the but dedicated employees, when they see somebody making this journey, and maybe I don't know if there's the ever end to that journey, right? But get to see that success.
Well, it makes all of the things that you've experienced with that person during their path, it just takes it to a whole nother level of flourishing and thriving.
Right.
Because it's a you rise, I rise, we rise situation and treatment plan. So you're working one-on-one with somebody, and they're doing the work, and they're finding out new things about themselves, and they're really trying to get there. And then they get there, and it's just so exciting to see for the person.
Just rewarding, right?
Yeah. And so I think that it's like in any format of work in that way, when you're, especially human services, where sometimes it's really, really hard, and it's really heavy sometimes, but you see people come through the other side. It just takes it to another level of why we do what we do.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We're being joined again by Amy. Amy, congratulations. You got a big ribbon cutting coming up.
We do.
Tell me all about it.
So we have a mental health clinic that we recently opened in Elmira.
Okay.
It's separate from our outpatient substance use disorder clinic. So you can be a client of that and also come to mental health, or you can just come in for mental health services. And that is located at 244 West Water Street in the BKA Financial Building.
Okay.
So that is open to anybody that is looking to get some help with some mental health concerns they might have.
And then on February 7th, they can tour. People can tour if they want to see the location. You also have speakers and the fun of a ribbon cutting, right?
Yeah. It's exciting.
So between
Celebrate
this
it.
ribbon cutting, everything else you've mentioned so far, the 50th anniversary, it must be a very busy time at CASA. Is there any free time, any time to rest?
No.
No. Okay, I didn't think so. Okay,
We do
perfect.
what we can when we can.
Well, and I say that jokingly because you guys do such amazing work, and we were talking, think of how many locations you've mentioned just in this interview. So the best place for people to find, because I don't want you to read a map off, the best place is probably go to the website,
The
right?
website is the best. It tells everything that we do and breaks it down in the way that isn't overwhelming to the
Right.
community, I guess.
It is it
We
is a
do so
very
many
nice
different
website.
things. Thank you.
Because I was looking at it and I thought you offer so many things that it could be one of those things you get lost on a rabbit hole
Yeah.
and not know where you ended up.
Yeah.
So it's a very impressive website, and that's where people can find the location, but just find out more in general, right?
Yep.
Now, what if someone is watching this and they say, well, I don't need the help that CASA delivers to the people, but I would like to help. I would like to be a part of the amazing work that you do. What should they do?
Online also talks about volunteer opportunities. So that's a way that they can get involved with either events that we have throughout the year, which can span from coalition, getting involved with that kind of stuff, or even like our annual 5K event.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of that, just before we go, because we're out of time, in the future, let's have you back on the show and you can tell us about these events and all the things you have coming up, because it sounds like there's enough that we can do probably once a week. No, but next time you have something big, let's have you on, okay?
Okay.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.